Hey crafty cuties, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to use this photo of my daughter with her little elf ears. We're going to make a really fun fairy door. This is actually a printable that I do have in my shop and I have it half off today, guys. So check down below and I'll either have a link or a code if you are interested. You can also, of course, make your own fairy door without the printable. It's just going to make it a little bit easier for you. And it does include like a video description for how to put it together. But I'm going to kind of go over the basics of it. So here I have the base cut out. Now, I just showed a moment ago, it comes with a stenciled page. But I wanted to use some pattern paper, so I actually went ahead and traced around the base, and I'm just going to cut that out because I want to have the inner part of the fairy door be this print. You'll see what I mean a little bit more as we go along. I'm going to cut out all of these wood slats that go on top of the fairy door. I'm going to speed this up a bit because it did take me a little while. I had to keep stopping and playing with Arlo. So I am going to start by gluing on the wood slats. And if you want, you can also use some ink on the white part of the door so that kind of peeks through. But I kind of like to add ink at the end, which you'll see. So I'm just putting these on as good as I can. They aren't perfect, and that's totally fine. I kind of like the idea that the door looks a little weathered and not perfect, so you can also trim around the edges if you aren't able to line everything up exactly right. And I'm going to do the same for the other side. I love this fairy door so much, and that was actually why I made it into a printable. A lot of times I know that people, or maybe you, are intimidated to create these extravagant layouts for just a junk journal layout, but it really doesn't have to be hard, especially when you're using a printable. And I use printables all the time from other shops, which you guys probably know and see. And it just kind of cuts down on the time that it takes to create a layout, and it just makes it so much easier for you. So I'm going to go ahead and trim around the edges because, like I said, I didn't line them up perfect, and that's totally fine. I decided that I also wanted to use my sewing machine, which I've never done before, but I love how it turned out, guys. So I definitely recommend if you have a sewing machine and you use this printable or make a fairy door like this, use your sewing machine. It ends up looking so cool. So I'm going to go ahead and sew down each wood slat, and I did a cross stitch here, and so it took me a little while, and this is another reason why this fairy door took me so long, was because I decided to add the sewing detail, but I really think it's worth it. It ends up looking so pretty. I'm just so excited for this layout, and it went perfectly with the picture kind of theme since I was showcasing her elf ears. If you guys remember when I did December Daily, I did a layout that talked about her ears and how much I love them. But I decided to still do a layout in her, this is her baby book kind of thing. Yeah, it's her baby book. And so I wanted there to be specific things in her baby book that were all about her. So even though there is a layout about her ears in our December Daily, that's only something that we may go through once a year. I feel like a baby book is going to be something special, something that she may hold on to when she's older, hopefully. And so I definitely still wanted to do something special for this picture. So now I'm going ahead and adding the wood slats that go to at the top, and you can either add those or not. It doesn't really matter. I like how they looked. So I lined them up as good as I could. So now I'm going to go ahead and add this part to the inner portion of the fairy door, but I went ahead and sewed around the entire outside to add more detail since I already had my sewing machine out. And I did not do it perfect, guys. You do not have to worry about making your sewing perfect. I know a lot of people stress about having it look perfect, having it look straight, but honestly, most people that are working in junk journals, they want it to be kind of messy. And if that's not your thing, that's fine too. So just keep practicing. But I made a mistake, actually. You're going to see. I sewed too close to the outer edge So when I ended up needing to trim a little portion of that paper, I cut off the stitching. So you'll see how I fix that as we go along. Now that I have that inner portion ready, I'm going to move on to adding any metal hardware that I wanted. And I wanted to add these little Tim Holtz ring fasteners. I thought they looked kind of like a little door, not a door knob, but what do you call that? Like, I don't know, like a door knocker? What do you call that? Anyway, so I'm going to put these on because I wanted to be able to cover that up on the back. So be sure to add anything that's going to poke through first before you cover the inside. I was showing that keyhole that I had, which would have also looked really pretty to add somehow, but I figured I would save that for another project. So I'm going to go ahead and put this other one on the other side. Now I tried to match it up as good as I could, but it definitely was not perfect, but it doesn't really matter because you're not paying attention to that in the end. So here we go, we have those on, and now I wanted to add these metal embellishments to the corners. I love how these look on the door. I got these from Michael's, I believe, a while back, but they do have like a metal embellishment section. And you can also find things like these online for a lot less expensive if you look around. I usually like type in metal embellishments, or there's probably a word for it. So if you guys know what these are called, feel free to leave it down below. All right, time to move to the inner portion. So it was a little tricky to line this up just right since it is something that opens and closes, but I start by just gluing down the right side of the door, and I did take my time to kind of line that up as perfect as possible. But again, you can trim anything that doesn't line up. For the middle part, I didn't glue down the entire panel because I actually wanted that to be a pocket. Now you could create a pocket like on the back part of this door, if that makes sense, between the back part and your page, but this is just how I wanted to do it. So I did add a little bit of glue down at the bottom so that my tag or whatever is going in the pocket will not fall out down at the bottom. And then I went ahead and finished by gluing on that left side. I was looking in my stash for some flowers that I wanted to use on this fairy door to decorate, and I had some it was like greenery vines, and it was really small and not two-dimensional, so it would have been perfect. I was so sad I couldn't find it. By the way, that is where I ended up cutting off the stitching. So this is how I'm fixing it. I'm just using a black pen and kind of sketching a messy line. And honestly, I feel like it tricks the eye, and it worked. But anyways, I was so bummed that I could not find the darn greenery or flowers, and I know I'm gonna find those like later on, and oh well. So now I'm using my brown ink to kind of get in those edges and the cracks. My ink was pretty dried up, so I'm using like a brown color here. But I did end up grabbing a black ink pad, and I don't remember if I filmed that. But I kind of also liked how it looked to have a little bit of a darker ink as well, because it definitely added a little bit of dimension and interest to the door. There's so many different ways that you can decorate these doors. I've actually used these in quite a few junk journals. Gosh, if I could find pictures, that would be awesome. I should try to look for pictures, but yeah, it's always been so fun decorating these doors. But they've always been for other people's journals, not my own. Here is the picture of Sweet Arlo, and I'm going to go ahead and glue that down, as you can see. Now for my tag, I just cut out a journaling card that I had from a paper pad and gluing it down to a vintage lined paper so that I can have room for journaling on the back of the journaling card. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of trim around the edges to make it prettier, and I rounded the corners. I felt like that kind of finished it off quite a bit. And then I'm going to use some pretty ribbon and just staple this on. I should have used my sewing machine since it was right there. That would have been really cute. Why didn't I do that? Anyways, I staple it down, that's fine. And I did my journaling off camera. So you can see this fits really good right down there. And then I wanted to have some more journaling space, so I'll show you what I'm going to do for that. But now it is time to put this in my journal. Here's the first layout I did, which I did a video on. And I'm just going to go in chronological order right now. This picture was when she was a newborn, but I think she was like a month old. So I did end up putting the date on one of the tags, but I'm going to go ahead and glue down this mushroom paper for the background, which I thought just really went well with the whole page. I love that paper. And I'm going to cut off this gorgeous yellow lace that I've been using for my lovely friend who sent it in Happy Mail. Thank you. And I'm going to go ahead and use this to tie those doors closed. So I'm just going to messily add lots of glue here so that it will stick down on the page really good. But like I was saying, you could also use this back part as a pocket if you did not put glue all over. And then you would have had like a double pocket if you wanted. So there we go. I'm going to let everything kind of dry, and then you can see that we can tie that shut, and I think it looks really pretty. These are flowers that I had bought in a recent haul, or yeah, shop with me video, and they were a little bit bigger than what I had imagined. They worked, and I think that I like how they look, especially with the like natural color that they had, but they were definitely bigger than what I had pictured. I think that really tiny little flowers with that greenery vine, that's what I meant to say, would look pretty, but that's okay. I like how this looked. And I mixed in a little flower die cut as well. I'm just playing around with some other little die cuts to see what would work. I decided I wanted to decorate this manila envelope on the right side to kind of finish off the entire layout. And as you can see, I just did that off camera real quick. I just glued down a couple things on that right side of the envelope so that I could have a little more space for journaling. So I created this tag using some more of that design paper from that line. I don't remember what line that was, but if you guys want to know, I can probably figure it out. And so it was a little too tall, so I just trimmed it down, and I have the lined paper on the back there where I can have space for more journaling, and I can just go ahead and tuck it down in that little belly band. And then I was trying to see if I should add some more flowers. I think that, I can't remember. Nope. Yep. There we go. I added the butterfly because that flower was too bulky. But here is the final layout. I love how it turned out. I think it's so cute. If you guys end up using this fairy door or something similar, please tag me on Instagram. I would love to see how you decorated yours. Don't forget, I will have the link below to the printable version of it. And I will see you guys later. Bye.